Hi, I'm Kristen. I'm an elopement and wedding photographer based in northern Utah, and today I'm going to show you a little bit of what my camera setup looks like for, let's say, a traditional wedding. I've been shooting weddings now for, like I said, 7+ years. I've kind of played around with a bunch of different setups and things like that, but this is the setup that I have learned to absolutely love and will always, at least for now, be my go-to, and I feel super comfortable with it. It is something that still challenges me and is a lot of fun. But this is something that I have discovered works best for me, at least at this season of life in my journey. I really, really love it. And at the very end, I want to show you guys what photos I took with each setup. So stick to the end so you can kind of see the diversity of what a wedding day looks like with this type of setup. And yeah, I think that's it. Let's get into it. To preface, I'm not using a single prime lens except for the lens that is on my film camera. The reason why I don't do prime lenses anymore, because trust me, I used to be a prime lens girly through and through. I had the 35, I had the 50 1.2, I had a 24. Honestly, I think that I was making my life too difficult and I was having to move around too much with a wedding day, everything being so unpredictable. You can't just place someone in a spot and tell them to do this certain thing. I'm a documentary wedding photographer. I do direct the couple and I direct the wedding party and family members and things like that. And occasionally when we're walking or doing something, I might casually tell the bride and groom to do something real fast. But even then, things are on the move. I'm trying to capture the moments as they are. So the most helpful setup for me has been something where I can just zoom in really fast and get something and just be able to focus on changing my settings real fast instead of running to a different spot or something like that. I still move around a lot on wedding days, like a lot. I don't just stand in one spot, but this has been a game changer for me, and this is definitely the setup that I have learned to really love and have worked a lot with more in the last 2 years. I have narrowed it down to my wedding day setup is 3 different bodies and 4 different lenses. That includes my film camera. Sometimes I will bring a point and shoot. I don't really count that as a camera setup. It's kind of more just like a fun thing that I bring just in case I want to get some fun like filmy photos. I bring my Polaroid sometimes too, but I also don't count that as a camera. I mean, it is a camera, but it's more of just like a fun thing. As opposed to like a $7,000 camera. So I would say that I'm a minimalist for camera gear. Of course, I have backup things. So I have backup lenses and camera bodies and things like that. So this isn't everything I have, but this is what I bring to a wedding with me every single time. The reason why I'm kind of more of a minimalist, I don't like hanging on to camera gear if I'm not using it. If it's been an entire year, it's kind of like a piece of clothing to me. Why would you keep it? And I think maybe part of living in a van changed some of that mindset for me, but I figure if a lens is just sitting collecting dust, I would rather give it to someone or sell it to someone who's actually going to use it. All that to say that I just like to have the camera gear that I use, and then I have some backup options as well, but otherwise I don't like to hoard camera gear. My first camera that I'm going to show you is my go-to that I actually use for couples and weddings and everything like that. It's probably going to be pretty stereotypical, but it is the Canon R5 with the Canon R24-70 lens on it. I love this thing so much. It's definitely my favorite lens, 100%. It focuses really well. Of course, Canon glass is beautiful and wonderful. I think that it's the most diverse for just a wedding day in general. I use this lens for everything all the time. So I even do action sport stuff, and I use this primarily, honestly, even for couples and things like that. It just has the best range, personally. I think that if you're shooting anywhere from like 30 to 35, I would say that that's the most like how your eye naturally sees things. So I really like shooting around that focal length. But it's so nice that you have everything from 24 to 70. I shoot at 50. If I want to get really tight, I zoom in to 70. And then of course you can get some minimal-ish landscapes with a 24. And since it's a full frame sensor, it's nice and wide. I love how fast that the shutter speed is on these, the Canon R5. It is really nice to have that super fast shutter, but then also it's a lot quieter than my Canon 5D Mark IVs were. The Canon 5D Mark IV, it was just loud enough that you can hear me taking a photo during a ceremony, whereas the R5, it's silent enough that you can hardly tell unless I'm standing right next to you or like right over you, which is really nice because I like to be stealthy during a ceremony and not super loud and annoying, and also have the freedom to be able to take as many photos as I want without feeling like I'm disrupting the event. So that is my go-to camera in general, but this is definitely what I have on my camera pretty much all day, from even group shot photos. I would say, depending on how big the bridal party is, I would normally just keep the 24-70 on. Same with family, like immediate family and things like that. Portraits and everything are mostly done on this 24-70. Moving on, the lens that I will switch out every once in a while during the wedding day from the 24-70 or on my other camera body is the 15-35. I actually really like this one for detail shots sometimes, which sounds counterintuitive again. It's diverse enough from 15-35, plus I can be running around the venue and be getting some wide like landscape shots of the venue and just of the area and things like that. So I do like this one when I'm doing detail shots. Sometimes I'll throw on my harness and have my 15-35 and my 24-70 on my hips when I'm shooting details, because I can kind of run around, get some wide angle shots of the venue and some detail shots even with the wide angle lens, especially with the dress and things like that. But this one also really comes in clutch when we are doing big group photos. It doesn't warp very much or at all, which is really, really great because when we're doing group photos, I don't have to worry about the people on the ends looking a little funny. Sometimes they do adjust a little bit. It definitely hasn't been used enough. I think I need to take more advantage of using this lens, but it is beautiful as well. I have to say, something that has been ironic about switching to the R series is that the camera bodies are so much lighter than the Canon 5D Mark IV, for example. The R5, super light. But their lenses, the R series lenses, are super heavy. So it ends up being about the same. I have not went ahead and pulled the plug on the 70-200 R lens. I still have the EF mount. I think eventually I will. I just honestly haven't gotten around to it yet. But the 70-200 is one of my favorite lenses for weddings because it really is kind of the unsung hero of the wedding day. When you're doing speeches and you're kind of stuck in one spot without, really just standing right in front of Uncle John or Aunt Susie and blocking their view, which sometimes, let's face it, we have to do that, and that's just how it goes. But without, moving around too much during speeches or even during the ceremony, just being able to really zoom in and get those little details and people's reactions, this is my favorite lens for those things. I love this for candid photos when I'm kind of far away, even during a reception, and people, I'm trying to get their candid actual feelings or emotions, seeing the couple and things like that, without them turning to me and thinking that they need to pose for a photo because I'm far away enough. They don't even know I'm taking a photo of them, which sounds creepy, but it is really nice to have. You can kind of just really fast spitfire, be oh, someone's about to have a moment there, oh, they're laughing, boop boop boop, oh, that's a really cute hug, boop boop boop, and be kind of in one spot and get a lot all at once, especially when you're in a rush going between things, but you still need to get some candids and stuff to kind of fill in the gallery. With that being said, I really love this lens. I do have to say, the ring, actually, I have not noticed any type of interference with focus or slower shutter or anything like that. Things have worked pretty seamlessly. It is the Canon EF2R mount, and I think that it works fine. I've had nothing bad to say about it yet. And this is another Canon R5 body. So typically during a ceremony specifically, I'll have my 24-70 on one hip and then my 70-200 on the other depending on the venue. If it's outside, 100%. If it's inside in a really big room, then 100%. But unless it's a really small area that is either inside or just like a super tight spot, then I'll throw on my 15 to 35 instead of the 70 to 200. It's nice to kind of have that wide range of from 15 to 200 as far as focal length goes. And then last but not least, I have my film camera. Like I said, I will bring my Polaroid or my point and shoot as well for kind of fun, but I do offer film packages, and I offer a few complimentary film photos through the day for every single package, and then you can buy a full film package from me if you would like. So I shoot on, for film, I shoot on the Canon AE-1. I really love it. I have a 51.8 lens on it. I have to say I've considered getting a wider lens than the 50 just because it can be hard to be as diverse with a 50 during a wedding day when you're shooting film. So I am considering just getting a different lens for this one specifically. I do have another film camera that I don't bring for weddings because it's just less reliable. This one is definitely more reliable because I know it and I understand all this gear really, really well. I know exactly where I need to be and when the right moment is to pull the film camera out to get the best photo. And depending on what film I'm shooting on, that is kind of the tricky thing about shooting film at weddings. You kind of have to decide beforehand, okay, what kind of film are we going to start with and what kind of film are we potentially going to end with, because the ISO is set. So if we're starting inside and it's super, super dark and then we're moving right outside to portraits and it's super, super bright, that can definitely be pretty challenging. But that's kind of when, if it's going to be something like that, sometimes I'll just like take as many photos as I can. I'll start with film that will kind of base around the day as best I can and just go from there. I would love to talk more about film photography for weddings or just film photography in general, and then even just everything else that I bring with me on a wedding day, from extra hangers to flat lay items to my extra cameras like point and shoots and things that I bring, to a drone, to my flash, for example, and how I go about everything, lights, the camera that this is being filmed on I'll use for behind the scenes and things like that. All of that I would love to go more in depth in. So if you're interested in just learning more about what I bring to weddings and want to have a conversation about it and learn more from another photographer, comment below. Let me know what you would like to see. Also, I love being able to chat with people in the comments, even if this isn't something that you do or you wouldn't recommend or whatever. I don't care. This is what I do. But I love to hear what other people do, because I'm constantly, as a photographer, as an artist, I'm constantly learning and growing. And I think that is super important, to learn from other people and to kind of hear their experience and not be super narrow-minded. I do not want to be that person in the industry that is in the industry for 10 plus years and hasn't changed a single thing about their setup or what they do, because to me, that's not growth. I think that it's super important to be able to grow with your art and adapt and change things as needed. I would love to have conversations in the comments. Let's chat about what you shoot on for weddings. If you have questions about what you would recommend, like starting out with or anything like that, I am like so more than happy to chat in the comments. So let's make this a positive space to chat. And yeah, thanks you guys for watching.